Good morning, grinders. Welcome to the DFS pregame show here on RotoGrinders. I'm Jordan Cooper, aka blenderhd, blenderhd. You can follow me there on Twitter. And this is the show, as usual, that we review yesterday's slate a little bit. It was interesting. Talk a little bit about today's slate, maybe not that much. I don't know. And answer your DFS strategy questions. I'm always in the YouTube chat every morning. Good morning, people. Matt Mears, Apocalypse, Frederick Dude, Card Fan, Joe Mac 0058, first round exit, Suki Singh. it's a little coffee morning. Not coffee, apple juice, right? I'm coughing, but I'm not drinking the coffee. So keep my apple juice cold by hitting that thumbs up button. Hit the thumbs up, hit the notification bell, hit the subscribe button, hit a bunch of stuff. Just take your mouse and just tap everywhere. It helps us out. Yesterday was how did I not win yesterday? That's going to be the question. That's going to be the theme. How did I not win yesterday? I had everything that was needed. I just didn't have a lineup with all of them in it. Like, it just seemed like that I made all the right choices, and it just didn't all get in there. Like, how does that happen? How does that happen? Because my top exposed stacks were Boston and Philadelphia, and I had Tampa Bay, I had Meadows, I had Kiermaier, right? I had guys like that. I had Boston stacks out the wazoo. I got McCutchen. I got Brad Miller. How does it not all get in one lineup? Right? I had pitchers. I had Nola. I had Pavetta. I even had some Irvin, and he put up 35 points. I had Kyle Gibson. How does it not all get in one lineup? Well, I'll tell you how, because the Philadelphia stack didn't get there, right? So I had plenty of Philadelphia. I had Philly stacks, but like Hoskins didn't get there. Realmuto didn't get there. I mean, it pretty much was Miller and McCutchen, but I had like Gregorius in that lineup or Bohm in that lineup. Yeah, 5-7 points, but that's not going to help you. That's not going to get you all the way to the promised land. And then I have Boston stacks, but I don't have Austin Meadows in that. I don't have Austin Meadows as a one-off in the Boston stacks. Or I have Austin Meadows, but I have Mike Minor 9 points or whatever in my SV2 spot with Nola. So it's like, I still couldn't get there. So it's like you get all the pieces. I played 90 lineups yesterday, and it seemed like I'm looking at my sheet, my little script sheet that I did. Like, how do I not get there? I had Boston, I had Philadelphia, I also had Baltimore, I had San Diego, Seattle. That didn't work out. That may have been the reason, right? All those players kind of infected everyone. I went way under on Atlanta, way under on Washington, right? I went a whole bunch. Let's see. What else? Didn't take that many Yankees. I had some Stanton. How come that didn't get in those lineups? I don't know. How do I lose? How do I go like 5 times the field in Boston? That's the stack that wins, and I don't have the right combinations. Well, welcome to DFS, people. That's what large field play is, right? Like Houston. Houston didn't do that badly, but it was primarily Bregman, right? Bregman and Brantley. The whole stack, the 5-man didn't get there, right? It was primarily Boston, and I had plenty of Boston, just not the right pieces around it. So a little frustrating. I mean, I did fine yesterday. Made some money, but not much, right? Not much. But yesterday, the big thing yesterday was what's going to happen with that Mets Cardinals game. I don't know. Should it have been postponed? Based on the weather forecast, it probably shouldn't have been. We had DeGrom originally. Early in the day, Jacob DeGrom was going to be mega chalk, right? Obviously. And then he gets scratched for a side. I don't know what that means. A side. The only thing I know about sides are like mashed potatoes and green beans, right? Those are sides. Did he get scratched because he didn't like the sides that he got from KFC or something? I don't know. What does that mean, side? I don't know. It probably means something. I just didn't look at it. All I saw was in the parentheses. It said side. It was like, the whole side, everything's right. Okay, whatever. So then Castro and the bullpen was going to pitch, and then Oviedo was going to pitch for the Cardinals. Who knows how long he was going to go? I looked at the projections. Oviedo projected decently. You wouldn't play Castro. He's the pitch, but 2 innings. But the batting projections on both sides of the game were not anything to write home about. So instead of worrying about it, I just X'd them out of my pool. I just said, screw it. I'm not even going to bother. Right? There was enough low-owned stuff. I wanted to play Boston. I wanted to play Philadelphia. So I didn't care about that game. So I just said, is it worth it? There's plenty of low-owned stuff that should I take the risk in any of my lineups? If I was going to do that, obviously you play stacks only. Okay, that's what you should be doing most of the time. I mean, yeah, you could be risky and play them as one-offs, but if the game gets postponed, then obviously you're stuck with like zeros and other lineups. You're playing 90 lineups, and like 40 lineups are dead because 20 of them are stacks, but the other 20 lineups have like one-off Paul DeJong or one-off Dominic Smith or whoever. So that's why I just X'd them out. Just X'd them out completely. So when it was postponed, I'm like, okay, there's some dead lineups in my contest. How do I make the right? How do I take the right teams? I have enough of the right pitchers. I still don't, and 10% of the lineups in the contest are dead, and I still can't win. I still can't get up there. Right? But this is normal. I'm complaining for entertainment purposes. It's hard to get the right combinations. But that was the main thing yesterday. So once DeGrom gets taken off the slate, now obviously ownership's gonna go down to like Bauer and Nola. And the issue that I had with Bauer, and I still played plenty of Bauer, was that he was pitching on 4 days rest. Now, normally we know Bauer as the guy that could go 120 pitches. They're playing a 7-inning game. That in typical fashion, you would go, well, he could pitch 7 innings and get the complete game, right? Because you get the points for that, even though the game's only 7 innings. But in the back of my mind, I'm like, 4 days rest. Should we predict Bauer for 105, 110 pitches? I'm not sure. He's still, strikeout wise, he's still probably the best pitcher on the slate. But I didn't go overboard. I knew the field would, but I didn't go over. I still had I think I had 30% Bauer, so it's not like I had none of them, right? Then he had Nola, and so basically a lot of people were building Bauer Nola lineups with cheaper stacks. Tampa Bay was cheap. Washington was cheap. Atlanta wasn't cheap, but if people were going to pay up for anything, it was going to be Atlanta, and we saw that with Freeman. Look, Turner at shortstop. Acuna, 13%. Sal Perez, I guess, on the Royals. The Royals were owned way more than I thought they would be. I didn't have much of them. But that was going to be the construction, the Bauer Nola, the double stud construction. So whenever the double, I love the double stud construction. That's when you get your vomit stats. But not when it's going to be, that's what most people are doing. That's not when the popular construction is that. So I flip it the other way. I go, people aren't going to play expensive stacks. Boston was an expensive stack. It's not as expensive as it would have been if Devers was in the lineup. Originally, I was like, okay, well, now I get JD Martinez, Bogarts, and Devers, and they're all 5K plus. Like, not many people are playing this because you can't play Bauer Nola. You barely play one of them in that type of lineup. So that was my thinking there. Phillies, similar situation. You're paying up for Realmuto. You're paying up for Hoskins. Hoskins is a little over 5K. People weren't going to really do that. But for a ceiling, I'll take 3-4% owned Phillies against Eric Lauer, who's not really that great of a soft tossing lefty, right? In Philadelphia. I'll take that. So I had to find other pitchers. So I mean, like Pivetta always scares the hell out of me. I still play plenty of Pivetta. But I also played a couple of Tiger stacks also, like against him. I played a lot of Mike Minor. He only had 8 points, but I mean, Brick 75 played a bunch. Most people played some Minor. He was the 4th most high-owned pitcher. I played some Hap, right? Mr. Good Seats and Brick 75 played. He didn't really get there, 12 points, right? I played some Kyle Gibson. Hey, not many people play Kyle Gibson. Not many people played, where's Irvin? Cole Irvin, 2% owned. Like, really, no one did. The main reason I was playing Gibson and Irvin is because the Twins and the Blue Jays, right? The Blue Jays, the Twins, the Blue Jays, the Oakland, like those teams didn't project all that well in the bat. So when I'm looking at a team that I'm like, I'm not even considering stacking, like those teams did not project well and they were not underowned. So those are the cases where I don't play them. So if I'm not going to play them, it's like, well, I'm playing a bunch of lineups. Well, who's the pitcher against them? Do they project horribly? No, they don't project all that well. So I decided to take some Gibson, take some Irvin. Not a ton. I had him like 10% or something. Just to throw him in. But minor Pivetta. No, I mean, I had the chalk pitchers. My Bauer, Nola, Pivetta, minor. Happ, Gibson, Irvin. No, the Nelson Lumet. Apparently, the Colts decided to take that chance in a third of his lineups. I couldn't possibly see Lumet going past, if at best, 70 pitches. At best. Right? I think he threw a bullpen session of like 30 pitches a couple of days ago or something. Something like that's what I saw. So he threw 30 pitches in a cell. I don't know. At his price, his ceiling, you need him to pitch at least 5 innings for the win. So I'm like, 70? What's his max? So that's why a lot of people didn't have him. He was 9% owned. When I saw his ownership at 9%, I said, thank you for paying the rake. Right? There was a chance, right? If you wanted to take a shot on Lumet and say, maybe he's fully fine, they're just going to let him go 100 pitches, because they normally don't even let him go 100 pitches when he's healthy. If you want to take that shot, okay. There's a risk reward there, especially if Bauer and Nola get blown up. But that's the problem. You have 2 of these ace pitchers here. So you need the situation where both of them die. And Lumet scores enough. So too much stuff have to go right. So I just X'd him out. No point of that. I understand playing Cobb against the chalk Rays. He was 23 points. Okay, that's fine. Right? So I get it. But I mean, you see here that typically the chalky pitchers are the ones that the sharp players use. Right, I know Goodsab, a little under on Bauer, Brick under on Bauer. I could see being under on Bauer because of the 4 days rest. He still ended up being 44% owned, though. But the chalk stacks were, I mean, as I predicted. Other than the Royals. The Royals were way more owned than I thought. Which is fine, because I didn't play much of them. So that's perfectly fine to me. We had Atlanta. We had some Washington. But a lot of that was Trey Turner, Josh Bell, I guess. Yeah, they weren't that owned. They were a little bit less owned than I thought. But it was pretty much Atlanta and the Royals. Look, Dozier was 14%. Benintendi, 13%. Soler, 10%. Perez, 9%. Merrifield, 9%. Like, Merrifield's not cheap. Right? Kind of weird. The Royals got that much ownership. I don't know. Just to me, at least. Not based on my projections. Based on the bat, it's not like they were projected all that well. They were projected okay. They were fine. But they were also cheap. I mean, outside of Sal Perez, they were cheap enough. Like, I played some Benintendi. I mean, I still had Royals in my lineups. Just not as a stack. But the Braves disappointed. So, like, then that destroyed a ton of lineups. And I went under on the Braves. I still had some of them. I still had Acuna in some lineups. I still had Freeman, right? I still had. Doesn't mean I don't play any of them. I get it. They project well. They're fine. And then Tampa Bay. Like to me, I viewed it was basically Atlanta, then KC, and then Tampa Bay. So I understand why Meadows had 2 home runs at 14% ownership. I mean, he was one of the highest. I mean, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, the 5th highest owned batter. Next to Freeman, Contreras, Dozier, Turner, and Meadows. Like, I understand Turner because of shortstop. Dude, filling in the show, you're probably paying up at shortstop. Tatis ended up not being in the Padres lineup. Not saying that he was going to be popular anyway. I understand the Bo Bichette, a Turner, a Bogarts. I get it. I just a Dozier, I thought Meadows would actually be more owned than this. I thought the Rays would be a little bit. I thought the Rays would be after the Braves, the chalkiest team. That we get a lot of Meadows, a lot of Brandon Lowe. Where did he go? I mean, it's an 8.7% owner. I mean, it's an 11-game slate. You see here the Red Sox 7%, 6%, 6%, 5%. They should have been higher. I mean, the reason they weren't higher owned is people were trying to jam in Bauer and Nola together. But I don't see why you can't play one of those and Pivetta and then play a Boston stack. They had one of the highest team totals on the slate. They had one of the highest ceilings in the bat, and they were under-owned. They were one of the most positive leverage stacks according to Slate IQ on RotoGrinders. And that's essentially what I did. Boston and Philadelphia were the two highest leverage stacks. Meaning that their chance of being the winning GPP lineup as a 4 or 5-man stack, the percentage of that is higher than what they will be owned. That's it. That's all you're looking for in DFS. That's why I played them. I mean, that's what, and their ceilings were well projected. Stuff like Atlanta. Atlanta was like the highest chance of being in the winning lineup. I get it, but they were probably going to be over-owned. They ended up being kind of efficiently owned. They weren't as owned as I thought they would be. So that's really what you're looking to do. That's why I'm taking teams, taking pitchers, mixing them together, plus EV lineups, and whatever happens, happens. Minor was 15% owned. Okay, I'm fine with it. I had 50%. I'd way more. I had tons of Mike Minor. So I was also making a lot of lineups that didn't have Bauer or Nola in it. Pivetta Minor, Happ, Pivetta, but I mean, when you get 12 points from pitcher or 9 points from pitcher, I mean, when Nola puts up 30 in Pivetta, like Nola Pivetta, even Bauer Pivetta, like 36 to 40 points, you needed a pitcher in total. So when one of them only has like 10 points, you're gonna be way behind. So I didn't get the right combination. So maybe I failed more at pitcher than I did at the bats. So I still have plenty of bad bats. I had Seattle stacked. I had Baltimore stacks. Houston stacks that didn't get there, right? Like the team did fine, but like all the production was only in like 1 or 2 guys. So the stack doesn't really get there. Looking in the YouTube chat. Let's see. Dustin Bazell said Boston Detroit 5-3 got you there. Yeah, well, Pivetta did well actually, and then Detroit killed their bullpen. Did decently against Pivetta, but Pivetta still got like 8 or 9 strikeouts. Tim Williams DFS. Do you ever look at plate IQ when making certain decisions? No. You answered your own question. I know it's baked into projections, but for example, Carlos Santana appears to have a good IQ versus Bieber today and could be leveraged. Well, if he does, if he would project whatever his projection is, it's already in there. What you're doing, Tim, is looking at one of 300 variables that go into projections, and maybe what you're looking at only matters 0.7%, 0.7%, maybe. Whatever stat you're looking at. Maybe that's what the actual weight of what you're looking at should be. Well, you're looking at it and you're going, oh, I'm going to bump this guy up 20, 30%. No, the model already takes into account how much that matters. Whatever you're looking at, how much it matters. So no, then why would I want to look? I don't want to look at anything that's already in the projections, because then I'm going to ruin my bias. So you can't just say, oh, they project well, and they project well, and like this other, like it's already in there. Michael Dompier says, I did a few Mets Cardinal stacks in large field tournaments just in case. When it was postponed, you knew the risk. Yeah, and that's what you do. Me personally, there were tons of other spots. Like, even if that game was clear, like I may have not played stacks from the game anyway. So that's, to me, that's what I viewed it as. And yes, there were going to be people that were going to, the ownership's going to start going down once that risk starts going up. So you may get to a level where they're so low owned that you might as well take a shot. To me, it never got to that level. To me, it's like, should I spend 10 out of my 90 lineups on this, or should I play more Red Sox or Phillies or whoever I played? Should I play more Seattle? I saw that there was loan-owned stuff then everywhere. So, like, okay, so then I don't have to bother with it. So I don't have to think about it. Question. I'm starting to use Slate IQ a lot more. Understand that the Slate IQ uses the Plate IQ RotoGrinders projections and ownership. Understand, like, the winning percentage are all based around the Plate IQ projections, not the bat projections. That's one big thing. So you may have to adjust it mentally. So I look to see what the difference is. The bat has so many different other variables that some of these teams and some of these players go up or down based on what Cardi has in his model. Do I use the pitcher Slate IQ information? No, because the pitchers are just individual. They're just individual players. So no, I treat them separately. Most of the other stuff in Slate IQ is either going to be similar from slate to slate, depending on its size, or not really any actionable information. Like, if you look at the stack leverage, like, it's going to always, for a 10-game slate, it's going to look the same way as any other 10-game slate. For a 4-game slate, it's going to look a certain ways. You're going to see that 5-man stacks aren't as valuable on smaller slates. So looking at everything, all the other stuff, the only thing I looked at in Slate IQ is that team stack section. Everything else doesn't tell you much, or it's going to be the same. It's always going to be the same. Let's see. Ronald Coley, why did most projection systems have Lumet projected as if he's actually pitching normally? Well, the bad projection systems? I don't know. Whoever does whoever puts in the pitch count needs to make the adjustment accordingly. Make some type of guess at a median of how many pitches. I think Cardi had him at 7. I think Cardi had him at 70. Which still for his price is horrible. If you projected him for 90 pitches or something, like he was pitching normally, like that's aggressive. That's aggressive. I wouldn't call it wrong. I just call it aggressive. Michael Dompier says that were Royals so overowned as pivots from the Mets, maybe. The Mets weren't getting that much ownership. It's not like the Mets and the Cardinals were getting that much ownership. I think it was more due to the fact that the Royals were cheap. I mean, we take Dozier, all these guys, other than Perez, all these, and Merrifield, all these guys are like low 3Ks. Soler and Dozier. So if you're going to build a stack, I mean, you're going to stack you're able to fit the Royals, even with Perez and Merrifield. Like, Perez and Merrifield could fit in a lineup where you're not playing Bauer, Nola, where you're playing one of those two and Pivetta, and then you play the Royals, and then you play like a one-off Tampa Bay back, because Benintendi, he's also cheap, right? Yeah, I think it was more due to construction. I just thought a lot of that would go to like Washington. Washington was cheap enough. More overboard on Tampa Bay. I just thought more of that. I mean, Willie Adames was 7% owned, batting 9th. Just 2,600. But no, I don't think it had anything to do with the Mets Cardinals. Ronald Coley says Vegas even had Lumet with an 8.5 strikeout prop. You sure about that? Did he? I don't know. I don't look at strikeout props. That would have been an easy under. Could he have gone 90 pitches? Yes, possibly. But from all intents and purposes of what I saw, the last time that he threw a session was 30 pitches. Okay. Simulated game? No, there wasn't any simulated games. And the last time he actually threw in his last start, he only threw 20 pitches. So how much can you expect? I don't know. Maybe he just comes back and just throws 90 to 100. Oh, you're right. There's a percentage of the time that happens. I think most of the time it doesn't. Pops 6870. Pops. How you doing, Pops? Blender, on the bat stacks, I noticed the 5-man stacks have a lot of the 3 outfielders. How do you determine which one to take out? I go back to Plate IQ and take out the lower rating. You know which one I take out? Whichever way it fits. that's just the way. Whichever way it works out. Typically salary-wise. I'm not manually going in and taking people out. I'm using a tool. I'm telling it, give me a bunch of stats and let me take a look at them. Right? That's what I'm doing. So I'm not manually going in. I'm not picking guys one at a time. I'm building lineups all at once. So I'm not even doing that. Which one do you determine to take out? I didn't take out anyone. I didn't put them in to begin with. I'm telling the tool. Give me out of my 90 lineups, give me 18% Boston. And let me take a look at them. Right? Sometimes I have 3 outfielders. Sometimes I have 3 outfielders from the same team. Sometimes in order to get diversification. I'm not opposed to using 3 outfielders from the same team in your stack. Just understand that it locks you out from the nuts sometimes. So a percentage of the time, if you played a Boston stack with all 3 outfielders, right? If you had Verdugo, Renfroe, and Martinez, that means you couldn't have Meadows double dong or McCutchen double dong yesterday, which means your Boston stack wouldn't have won first place, right? You would have had the right team. You would have rather had Marwin Gonzalez's 5 points at first base. So I don't think there was a first baseman that he needed to have, right? So that's really the mindset. Doesn't mean you never do it. Just understand that when you play 3 outfielders from the same team, it could lock because there's more outfielders in the pool, right? There's 11 games, 3 outfielders each for 22 teams, there's 66 outfielders. And everyone could roster 3 of them. So when you roster Marwin Gonzalez and you put him in the first base spot and he gets 7 points, well, if he scored, Marwin Gonzalez is actually eligible at multiple positions, but let's say Rhys Hoskins. I always make Rhys Hoskins Freddie Freeman. If Freddie Freeman hits a home run and you don't have him, and then you have Rhys Hoskins and he hits a home run, you're fine. You're absolutely fine because no one could roster both of them in the same lineup on DraftKings. Outfielders, the 3 highest scoring outfielders can be rostered together. And some of these second base, Hunter Dozier's third base and outfield eligible. He could fit in 4 slots in your lineup. If Hunter Dozier went off for 40 points, you're probably going to need him because he fits in 4 spots. So if you have your third base and all 3 outfielder spots taken up, doesn't matter they had the right stack. You didn't have the right one off. You didn't have the opportunity to even get that one off. So you have to be aware of those things. It doesn't mean that you never play 3 outfielders from the same team. It doesn't mean that. I'm less likely to do it. I don't necessarily love those lineups. If I'm hand building, I probably don't make a lot of those lineups. But sometimes the stacks that you make, it fits in that way. right? If you're going to play Tampa Bay, Rosarina, Kiermaier, and Meadows, you do something. Okay, that works out. You play Adames and Zunino or something. You leave the second base spot open for someone else or something. I mean, these lineups are still fine. But it could lock you out from the nuts. You're hoping on those types of lineups, you're hoping for a slate where there's not an outlier outfielder. That's not as obviously not part of your stack. You don't mind you don't mind if JD Martinez puts up 3 home runs because you have him in your Red Sox stack. You're hoping it's one of those slates where like no one puts up an outlier score, especially one that would be owned. Because then it's just like as long as I get 15 points each out of 15 to 18 points each out of my outfielder spots, I'm good. Right? Something like that. But Meadows put up 34, Kiermaier at 25, Grossman at 32. I don't know how owned he was. Most people are playing Pavetta. They're out 3.8%. Decently enough owned. So playing the 3 outfielders just locks you out of those situations. So you're just praying that's like there's no outfielder that hits 2 home runs today. Frederick Jute makes a good point. On DK, St. Louis stacks were cheap because they were assuming they were playing DeGrom. Yes. They were underpriced, but they still didn't project all that well. The Mets bullpen is not that bad anymore. And also, they're playing a bullpen game. It's like you'd rather a team face a horrible starting pitcher than a new pitcher every at bat. It's a misconception people have. It's like, oh, they're facing the bullpen today. This is going to be, I'm stacking this team. Well, understand that they're going to be the opposing teams are going to be putting in a new pitcher. No batter is going to see a pitcher more than once, probably, and they'll be able to switch for matchup purposes, lefty on lefty, right? A guy that's not good at hitting curveballs. Oh, they're going to bring in this guy, like that type of thing. A starting pitcher, they want to pitch for 5 or 6 innings. You may get 2, 3 at bats from them. So you'd rather a garbage guy pitching 5 or 6 innings than the bullpen the entire game. I believe the bat accounts for that. But people have this conception of, it's going to be DeGrum's out. It's the Mets and the Mets bullpen. You're right. The Cardinals were priced as if DeGrum was pitching. But they still weren't in that great of a spot. The projections showed that. I thought the same thing. I'm like, okay, DeGrum's out. Let's see what I could play Arenado at a cheaper price, Goldschmidt or something, and then the bat updated with new projections, and it's like the Cardinals didn't. They got up. They went up. Not that dramatic. Not really that dramatically. So I'm like, oh, okay. Maybe people are going to try to jam this team in, and maybe they shouldn't. Hit the thumbs up button. Let me know if the apple juice. Let me check. Is it cold? Okay, pretty cold. Doug Montgomery, when playing the FanDuel 100-man 3 entry. So that's 100-man contest, I'm assuming. You have said played the best 3 lineups. Do you worry about ownership as much? Is full stacking 4-4 the way to go in these 2? Typically in 100 in small field contests like that, the chalk is even chalkier. So you don't even have to stack. You can play your cash lineup technically if you want in those contests. Most likely you're at least playing 1 4-man stack. Do you play a 4-4? I mean, you could. You don't have to. There are multiple ways that you could play those types of contests. Me personally, I would just 4-4, just pick the 2 best teams and put them together with whatever pitcher and be done with it. Those 2 teams do well, you probably win a 100-man contest. You don't have to worry about outlier one-offs and stuff that you do in large field contests. But understand, you could play your cash lineup in those contests. I don't think that's optimal, but it's not as suboptimal as playing in a large field contest. So something that's close to your cash, you don't have to even worry about stacking if you don't want to. Sometimes it's easier, though, to just take two teams, 4-4 it. And most likely, even if you have 2 zeros in your lineup, you could still win one of those contests. Gavin Nokomovich. Had to reload this week, but I'm playing single entry. Best lineup, mainly 3-3-2, and cashed the last 2 nights. I don't care about cashing. Never type in that you cashed. Cashing doesn't matter in GPPs. Tell me when you get in the top 10. Cashing, if you did that every night, you'd lose. You'd still lose money. I know you people are like, you type that in as if I'm going to congratulate you. No, I'm not congratulating you. Did you come in the top 10 where all the money is? No, then you lost. Then you survived. If you cash, that's survive in advance. But your goal should not be to cash. I'd rather come in last place if it means I come in first place more often. Okay, if there's anything more in the chat, feel free, type it in. Are we going to talk about today? Probably not. It's a short show today. I got a meeting. Got a meeting, the lineup HQ team today. I got stuff to do tonight, so I'm not playing tonight. And tomorrow is there's no show. There's Grinders Live. Tomorrow we got an early slate. We got an afternoon slate. So it's going to be Grinders Live tomorrow, 11:30 a.m. Yeah, Eastern. It'll be me and Grant, right? That's what it says on the schedule, at least. It'll be me and Grant tomorrow. You could always turn on that notification bell to let you know when we go live. We got NBA Grinders Live tonight. We got MLB Grinders Live tonight on the YouTube channel, right? So you check those out. And good, since I'm not playing tonight, I don't have to review tomorrow, right? Tomorrow's Grinders Live. I don't even have to review it. I don't know what the hell's going to be going on anyway, right? What is going on tomorrow? What is going on today? What do we got today? What can I give you? Is there anything? Oh, we got Bieber, we got Darvish, we got Bueller. We got a slate. We got a slate today. We got Brady Singer at 5,500. Lewis Thorpe. Is he going to be a thing today? What's his pitch count going to be? We got stuff going on. Oh, okay. Tonight. Maybe I wish I was playing tonight. People are going to play Bieber, Darvish. What's this lineup going to look like? Let's see. Let's see what this lineup looks like. Are we going to get a lot of Bieber, Darvish? No, we get Thorpe. Let's get Thorpe out because maybe he doesn't end up in there. Bieber, Darvish, Washington, Milwaukee. Meadows is still 3,400 for no reason. Tampa actually went down. Who's Tampa facing? Tampa Bay. Ryan Yarborough versus no one. Who's pitching? Do we not know who's pitching for the Angels? We don't even have him in here. Do we? I don't even know who's pitching for the Angels. Let's see on the lineups page. Have they now not announced a starter? Let's see. Where they go? Oh, Ohtani. Is Ohtani gonna be pitching? I don't know. We'll see. That's always the weird guy, obviously, in the player pool, because it's like, is he a pitcher? Is he a batter? So I don't know if the bat has him in currently as the pitcher yet. I think Cardi has to fix that. If that's the case. Because the Rays are still cheap. Washington and Atlanta. Max Fried. Yeah, yeah, Max Fried could be popular today. We have to find out what if he's on a pitch count, right? Let's take a look. What do we have for Fried? Where's Fried? Max Fried. Okay, I don't know what Cardi hasn't projected currently as. We could take a look. Let's take a look-see at the end of the show. Some people are like, oh, well, what's going on today? You talked a lot about yesterday. Well, then we don't know what the hell's going on today. And to know what's going on today, you look at the projections. What's so complicated about that? Where's Fried? Okay, so in the bat, it's for 75 pitches. How about this Lewis Thorpe guy? Lewis Thorpe, where is he? It's 4K. 90 pitches. 90. Okay. Really? He's facing Texas, his strikeout team. So maybe Lewis Thorpe, maybe Lewis Thorpe is the thing today. Maybe he is. Maybe he is. But these will be adjusted throughout the day. But really, the main thing for pitching, I mean, you got Bieber, you got Darvish, you got Bueller, I guess. And then Max Fried's pitch count against Washington. Because he's 6,300. Because he's not like a great pitcher or anything. But he should, if he's pitching 95 pitches or something, 100 pitches, he shouldn't be 6,300. But there's the bat. You can get the bat on RotoGrinders. Extra charge there. Use it for the whole season. It's like $2.99. Use it for the whole season. I think it's way too cheap. Way. I mean, it's so ridiculously cheap. It's stupid. And then you get RotoGrinders Premium. Click on the link in the description. Get $10 off your first month. Get them together, and there you go. That's all you need. What else do you need? Oh, Frederick, dude, is there a reason the sites can't use Ohtani and Ohtani as two different players for the batter and the pitcher? I don't know. Ask them. Apparently they can't. Apparently DraftKings, their servers explode when that happens. Apparently. Okie doke. So I hope you guys, like, normally I don't wish people luck. You know that. I wish you the worst of luck because you're typically in my contest, right? We're competing against one another. If you're playing in the contest that I'm playing, and now if you're playing the quarter arcade, I can't play those. Go win those all you want. But tonight, I'm not playing. So all the contests are available for you to win now. I wish you all the best of luck tonight. Anyone that's watching, anyone in the YouTube chat, anyone hitting that thumbs up button on your way out the door, I could actually wish you good night, good luck. I could wish you good night also. I'm not playing tonight. I'm going out tonight. I'm going out partying, gallivanting. No, I'm not doing that. Going out for a podcast recording. Soccer related. That had nothing to do with DFS. Going out to do that and taking the night off of baseball. Then tomorrow we got early. We got early baseball and not much night baseball. So that's good. Joe Mac 0058, binked a $4 2,000 person a couple of days ago. Never would have made that lineup without your training. Right. Then you see that most of the people overthink it. Stack a team, take a pitcher, let's go. Jam in some one-offs. Hope for the best. Let variance ride. Make sure your lineup is leveraged for the contest that you're in. That it's decently enough projected. There you go. There you go. You're done. You're done, people. Let it fly. Butterflies. Let it fly. Let it fly. So let it fly tonight in your contests. We'll see what goes on. We're not going to review it tomorrow because we're going to be talking about the actual slate. I'll be on Grinders Live with Grant, with Devin in the morning tomorrow, 11:30 Eastern. But then we'll be back for Casual Friday for the show because I'm usually here, almost always, 11 o'clock in the morning Eastern, Mondays through Friday, for the DFS pregame show on RotoGrinders.com.